Did you guys ever think you'd be living in a day and age in 2024 where Vince McMahon is not affiliated with WWE? He has nothing to do with WWE. He's resigned from WWE and erased from WWE. You better believe it, man. Vince McMahon is actively being erased in World Wrestling Entertainment. We'll go over how this is happening and why this is happening today, right here on Off the Script. Janel Grant, who filed a lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and the WWE, her lawyers and her attorney says more people have reached out and want to speak out against Vince McMahon after filing this lawsuit last week, which led to Vince McMahon's resignation from WWE and TKO. What does that mean in regards to the entire situation, and how bad is it going to get? John Laurinaitis' lawyers released a statement today claiming that he was the victim in all of this. And finally, major news on Mercedes Mone in AEW. Yes, it's happening. When, where, and how AEW will be debuting Mercedes Mone. All this, well, so much more right here on Off the Script. Let's start with erasing Vince McMahon from WWE. The Rock. It all starts with Dwayne, who was appointed to the TKO Board of Directors last week, right before Vince McMahon and the allegations came out in the Wall Street Journal. Love how the timeline is just coming all together, man. The more we get on into this, the timeline is making a lot more sense. Kevin Dunn walks away from WWE. What does he have to do with this entire situation? Vince McMahon was like a father figure to Kevin Dunn. He quit WWE claiming that he can't work for anybody but Vince McMahon, and he didn't want to take orders from the new administration. He wanted to do things his way, the way he's been doing them. And he walked away. WWE wanted to keep Kevin Dunn through WrestleMania season, and he said, nope. Now we know why. And that's a big, big issue to a lot of people. He walked away right before all this went down. The Rock, he was appointed to the board of directors, and then they seemingly take Vince McMahon's seat away from him on the TKO board of directors. Soon as Rock is appointed, he gets ousted, Vince, in the Wall Street Journal once again by Janel Grant with a 67-page court document that uncovered the most heinous, evil, unbelievable acts you will ever read from an executive. Ridiculous. And now we are here where everyone is starting to distance themselves away from Vince, and that includes Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson took to Instagram today to post photos of the TKO executives at the Wall Street Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, after it was announced that Johnson was appointed to the board of directors. Now, if you scroll through the photos, if I could get some of the photos, I'll put them in the video. If not, you guys can go see them yourself on Instagram. You'll see a group shot of the top executives in TKO, and noticeably absent from this is Vince McMahon, who was a part of the festivities last week before Janel Grant's lawsuit was filed. Now, in the photos that were taken last week, McMahon was seen standing next to The Rock, but in the group photo that you'll see there, McMahon was nowhere to be found, so essentially, he's been erased. This is only going to be the beginning of what you will see on the WWE side of things, erasing Vince McMahon. I'll get back to that in a second. As of this writing, Johnson hasn't made a statement on the disturbing allegations made against McMahon, nor will he. No need to. They want to move on from this. They want to settle, and they want to go back to business. He is also yet to comment publicly on McMahon announcing his resignation on Friday. And Johnson took to Instagram and said this, and I quote, "From $7 to this surreal day. Crazy. Thank you, New York Stock Exchange, for the incredible and very warm welcome. Honored to join the board of directors for TKO, and honored to ring the iconic bell to open our market. Let's get to work." This is the very first instance that you will see, and this is going to become the norm, no matter if he settles or if this takes place in a court of law, and it gets worse, and we go through each and every stage that we need to for this lawsuit against Vince and John Laurinaitis in the WWE. No matter what the outcome is, he's not coming back. He will not be allowed back. He will do no business with WWE and TKO forever, and they will actively erase everything that is Vince McMahon. They're not going to take him off of every segment that you see on the WWE network. Vince is going to have a legacy. Obviously, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Vince and World Wrestling Entertainment and his vision. But at the end of the day, his legacy is now tarnished. People will only remember him for this. People are not going to celebrate the good that he did. They will only celebrate the bad. And Vince McMahon, in this case, they're not going to actively remove every segment that Vince McMahon had on the WWE network. He's a part of one of the biggest angles in WWE history. It basically started the Attitude Era. Vince McMahon was a dominant figure on WWE television, but what they did with Chris Benoit and everybody else that has this negative aura about them, they are going to bury Vince McMahon on the WWE network, where you can't really search at all for anything that he was a part of, because they don't want you to see anything that he did. If you guys go on social media, you start to see clips of the past WWE shows in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and things are making a lot more sense now than they did then. And Vince McMahon's character on TV was basically, we all kind of realized this, but we didn't know how bad and how depraved and how evil it really was. Vince McMahon's character on TV was a portrait of the real-life version of Vince McMahon, right down to basically everything he did, everything he said. And they're going to actively bury him on the network where you can't find him. This is nothing, The Rock wanting to distance himself from Vince McMahon. This is nothing. I mean, The Rock is one of the most public figures in the entire world. He's the biggest movie star in the entire world. He is known to be a businessman, a good guy. Why does he want to associate with this negativity? Why does he want to bring negativity to what he's built and his brands and his business? He's not going to mention Vince McMahon. He's not going to talk about Vince McMahon. He's not going to answer any questions about Vince McMahon. This is only the beginning, folks, no matter if Vince settles or this gets taken to the next stage in court. So get used to it. And at this point, I don't really give a shit. You want to know what I care about? I care about moving on and having WWE perform to the best of its ability moving forward, under the new leadership, under the new administration, under TKO. That's what I care about. I want to move on from this and worry about what's to come with WWE for the rest of the year. Janel Grant. We got news on Janel Grant today. The victim in this case suing Janel Grant is WWE, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis. Now, Janel Grant's attorney says more people have reached out and want to speak out against Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon resigned from all of his roles within TKO, including TKO executive chairman, and on the TKO board of directors. They basically gave Dwayne Johnson his seat after the lawsuit that alleged to him being involved in sex trafficking and abuse from a former WWE employee by the name of Janel Grant. She alleged Vince McMahon coerced her into engaging in sexual activities with himself and other men, and allegedly shared explicit photos of the victim with various men inside and outside of the company, including a former WWE and UFC champion, which everybody was assuming was Brock Lesnar. Lesnar was removed from the Royal Rumble and all of WrestleMania season. McMahon was forced to step down from his role in the company last year due to the hush money scandal. 2 years ago, reports came out regarding McMahon paying upwards of $12 million to 4 women in a 16-year span to shut down allegations coming out of sexual misconduct and infidelity. WWE was investigating a secret $3 million settlement to pay an employee with whom he allegedly had an affair with. McMahon was subpoenaed by federal agents in August of 2023 regarding the payments. They issued a search warrant for him. Who knows what they were looking for? Who knows how much of that had to do with this? And while speaking with News Nation, Ann Callis, Grant's attorney, claimed there could be more victims coming forward due to the allegations and civil lawsuit brought against the parties involved. Now, Callis said that her office and inbox have been barraged by people wanting to come forward to attest to the culture of corruption and also possible victims. She said it's been overwhelming to say the least. Callis was asked why they filed the lawsuit now. She says it was a process. It was an approach from our legal team and also our client. It was an archaic, long, systematic drive to get the best complaint that we could possibly get. We're going against the WWE, a multi-million-dollar corporation who turned a blind eye to what was happening here to Janel. Callis said that the only person, or the only weapon rather, that they had was the real facts that they put in the suit to even the playing field. When asked whether other people will be in the suit and if other people know of what Grant alleges, she said this: no more than the regular public about the NDAs that everyone has heard who has followed this story. She was, or has, no more knowledge other than that. But our hope is, and her hope is, by coming out and stepping forward, by bringing these complaints and putting her face to this complaint, that other victims of Vince McMahon and the WWE will end up becoming public, and she wants to help them find their voice and get justice, and she thinks and hopes by doing this, she will. Now, John Laurinaitis is also named in this lawsuit. Earlier today, Vice News reached out to an attorney in the Tampa Bay area to confirm that he represents Laurinaitis. He did so, adding, as an aside, Mr. Laurinaitis denies the allegations in the misguided complaint, and he will be vigorously defending these charges in court and not the media. Like the plaintiff, Mr. Laurinaitis is a victim in this case and not a predator. The truth will come out. In response to a follow-up question seeking to clarify that he was indeed saying that McMahon was the predator and that Laurinaitis, like Grant, was the victim, his lawyer wrote, read the allegations, read the federal statute, power, control, employment, supervisory capacity, sexual demands with repercussions if not met. Count how many times in the complaint Vince exerts control over both of them. Sounds like John Laurinaitis is going to take down anybody and everybody in this lawsuit, and he's going to go down in a blaze of glory. He doesn't give a shit who he takes with him. That's behavior that I would probably think Vince McMahon would also go into the courtroom with, and he would take down everybody with him and not give a shit. If he was going to kill WWE, it was going to be at his disposal by his hands only. Because that's what he said before on more than one occasion. That's just the aura that he gives off. John Laurinaitis feels like, or I think from reading this, I don't know, you guys may get a different sense of this. It sounds like Laurinaitis is going to go down in a blaze of glory, and he doesn't give a shit who he takes with him in this entire situation. This is something that is going to be closely monitored. I will keep you guys updated on everything, but my initial reaction here after talking to a few people and gauging the feeling around this from different sides, I don't think that this is going to be taken to the next step. I don't think that this is going to be taken in front of the court. I honestly think that they're going to settle. TKO is going to look to settle. They don't want this to go to the court system. Vince McMahon doesn't want this to go to the court system. Neither does Laurinaitis. Whatever the woman was owed, $3 million is what she was owed under the NDA. Vince made $1 million in payment and then stopped the payments. Realistically, logically, if this woman was paid the remaining amount that she was promised with the NDA being signed, we realistically may not be here talking about this. Vince McMahon would not be in the shithole that he's in. This court document wouldn't have been filed, and he'd still be on the board of directors. And he would not have resigned from the WWE. That's just a logical way of looking at it. If he made the payment and kept this woman quiet the way he wanted to, none of this would have happened. So now she's going to get paid more than $3 million and add a zero on top of that. She'll probably get $30 million to settle this entire fucking thing, and then we'll move on from this. But at the end of the day, Vince is finished. John Laurinaitis he's gone anyway. I don't give a fuck what happens to him at all. I don't give a shit where he ends up, how he ends up. Vince, he resigned. He's thinking that, well, I'll resign now. I'll settle it. I'll throw money at it, and then I'll resume my previous position. No, he's finished. Vince is done. He's not coming back. There's no way for him to come back, and Janel Grant's going to get paid. But no matter how this works out, I think you guys should know and be comforted by Vince McMahon is not coming back. But I don't think TKO is going to want to take this or want to see this go as far as it could, because if it does, I mean, I don't know who else was named. I don't know who else allegedly was in this court document. I don't know who knows what. I don't know for how long they've known it. I don't know who tried to bury it. I don't know who's kept secrets. I don't know. I don't want to see it get to that point. I don't. But if it does, I can sit here and comfortably tell you that if it does get to that point and we get people ousted and named, get rid of them. Get them out, bury them all, drain the swamp, let's move on. I don't think TKO is going to want to take it to that point, though. I don't. And I think this woman will get what she wants. They will settle out of court. She will get the remaining amount that she was owed plus a hefty sum on top of that. And then we'll move on from this. And Vince's legacy and his name and everything that he's done for the business is now tarnished. I'll keep you guys updated on it. But I find it funny. I find it funny how John Laurinaitis claims that he's the victim in this thing. Meanwhile, he was nothing more than a fucking gopher. He was a fucking servant to Vince McMahon for how many years, man? He did willingly what Vince did for so long, and he was nothing but a glorified yes man. And now he's the victim. If Vince told him to jump off the fucking Titan Tower, he'd do it. No, but he's the victim here. He willingly went along with everything that Vince did. I know he did, but he's the victim. Great job there, John. Laurinaitis. Yeah, sure thing. I'll keep you guys updated on this. The more news that we get, it's going to be very interesting to follow. Tony Khan. Shifting gears to AEW. Tony Khan has a big announcement next week. People are wondering what this big announcement is. Tony Khan and his big announcements, man. I don't know what it is, but normally when Tony Khan's got a big announcement, it usually ends up being a troll, and everybody makes fun of it on social media. And it was nothing. Not as big as we all anticipated. There was supposed to be a big announcement on Saturday of the Royal Rumble during AEW Collision. AEW did not want to do anything in regards to a major announcement because of the Royal Rumble and then the Vince McMahon allegations and the court documents that were released. They realized that if they made any sort of major announcement on Saturday night, that it would probably get buried under everything else that everybody was talking about that weekend. So they refrained. Now, Tony Khan on last night's Dynamite announced that there's a major announcement. People are already speculating. Is it Okada? Is it Mercedes? Is it both? Is it Will Ospreay? Is it a streaming deal? A lot of people tend to believe that it is Mercedes and Kazuchika Okada. Can't really say much in regards to Okada because nobody knows what's going on there. But Mercedes is headed to AEW. Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp, with Andrew Zarian backing up the report, have learned more in regards to Mercedes. Tony Khan fielded speculation on Wednesday when it was announced he'd have a major announcement on February 7th, AEW Dynamite. While no one can confirm or will confirm, it was implied that it was related to the impending appearance of Mercedes Mone in AEW. However, we were not told that her signing would be outright mentioned as a part of the rumored announcement. However, what we have heard from numerous talent is that they've been told within the company and from those close to Mercedes that the working plan in All Elite Wrestling is for her to physically appear for the company in March, likely after the Revolution pay-per-view. Now, I'll stop there. Why after? the Revolution pay-per-view. Because if Mercedes debuts on that show, it is going to get overshadowed by Sting's retirement. And Tony Khan is not going to want to do that with Mercedes. This is a huge signing because everybody expected her in the Rumble. Everybody expected her back in WWE. The fact that she's going to AEW is a major coup, a major deal, and she should be treated as such. Sting's retirement should be the only thing that AEW is promoting as far as the biggest thing on that show. That needs to go off, and it needs to be the only thing because you only get one of them. You're not going to get another Sting. You're not going to get another retirement. He's done. Focus on that. Put your effort and energy into that. Worry about Mercedes after all that's taken care of so she gets her own spotlight. It's simple. That's why they're not doing it at Revolution. We've not been told when she could make an in-ring debut for the company. It was noted to us that her signing or arrival was never considered to be announced this past weekend at Collision as rumored. They wanted to make an announcement like I just said before, but they didn't because of the Rumble. And then obviously with the Vince McMahon allegations, nobody would be talking about any sort of announcement or Mercedes or Okada if they were to announce something along those lines on Saturday. Sean Ross Sapp was told this weekend by numerous WWE sources that by the time December 29 rolled around, that WWE knew they were out on Mercedes, and we were told she likely would have been unable to perform at the Royal Rumble anyway. Someone within WWE said, well, that's news to me, and we don't want to contract tamper, meaning that she's already signed with some promotion, and that promotion is AEW. WWE sources and AEW talent we spoke to are under the impression that Mercedes has been signed with AEW for weeks. AEW has not confirmed any elements of this story in an official capacity, nor will they. You will know when we hear it from Tony Khan on AEW Dynamite or whoever gives us the info on this major announcement. We'll hear it on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday on Dynamite. So there you go. I mean, I don't want to sit here and tell you I told you so, but I was tipped off months ago that Mercedes was going to AEW. But I also said that if she showed up in WWE, showed up in the Rumble, that she had a ready-made storyline ready and waiting for her with Bayley, and a Rumble with Mercedes coming back to WWE was just picture perfect if they wanted to go that route. But I remained steadfast. I remained pretty confident that AEW signed Mercedes, and it looks like that everybody that called it, me and Drew, back in October, back in November. It was back in October, right before WrestleDream. We thought she was coming in for WrestleDream, and then we thought she was coming in for Full Gear. But the only thing that kind of held us up on that was, all right, well, where is she? You know, she's ready to go. Then you get the Rumble coming up. And Tony Khan, I'm assuming, wanted to announce before the Rumble that Mercedes was coming on in so he would squash everybody's hopes. I could see petty Tony Khan doing that on Saturday's Collision, but the only reason why he didn't announce anything regarding Mercedes before the Rumble, he wanted to disappoint people in WWE expecting her. I know that. I would do the same thing. I like that. But the reason why he didn't say anything at all was because of the Vince allegations, and nobody would have been talking about Mercedes, and you don't want to disrespect Mercedes like that on night one. So she's coming on in. What she does and who she gets in the ring with first, how she fits, what the women's plans are for that entire division now that they got her, that remains to be seen. I don't really know. But right now, Mercedes, AEW, it's basically all but confirmed. She will be there, and we don't have to wait that much longer to see one of the most talented women in the entire sport back on TV again on a weekly basis. Can't wait to see her back, and she is now headed to AEW. Thank you guys very much for all of your support. If you enjoyed today's OTS, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Please, let's try for 1,000 likes on today's video. If you enjoyed, I would also love if you hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. We are halfway to 153,000 subscribers. If you guys want to go check out the rest of the content, we have been here basically all weekend, man. We were here on Saturday for the Rumble. We did Monday Night Raw. And what happened post-Rumble, we were live on Raw, live on Tuesday with episode number 33 of Tuesday Night Titans. And Jesse and I were live on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. So make sure you guys go check all that stuff out. It is all on the homepage. I will keep you guys posted on whatever happens with Vince. I'll keep you guys updated. Whatever happens in the news, I got you covered right here on Off the Script. Guys, enjoy the rest of your Thursdays, and I'll see you live back here tomorrow night for the post show right after SmackDown on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.